Hello, this is Tranna Wintour, and welcome to another episode of my vlog for queer comics. So happy to be doing this. I think this is episode 6 or 5 already. That's amazing. I'm so happy to be sharing with you every week about all of these great topics. And today's topic is Canada. Oh, Canada. I don't even know where to start. It was recently Canada Day, July 1st. Big celebrations all over the country, except Quebec, because Quebec is very different than the rest of Canada, and Quebec hates being a part of Canada, and Quebec wants to be separate and all of that shit, but we won't go there. I am very grateful to be a Canadian. I wouldn't say that I'm proud to be Canadian. I didn't do anything to be Canadian. I was just born here. I really don't believe in patriotism of any kind. But I'm definitely grateful to be here and to be a Canadian citizen, and for all that that affords me. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, free healthcare, which includes abortions and gender reassignment surgery, which we are so lucky for. I mean, obviously it's not a perfect system. When you go to a clinic, you have to wait like 3 hours just to see a fucking doctor. But, you know, overall, we're very lucky here. I mean, I heard, a friend of mine recently described Canada as a utopia. He's originally from Scotland. And in many ways, I think it is. I think that if we're a utopia, it won't be for much longer unless we get our fucking horrible prime minister out of office. We have this horrible neo-Nazi monster motherfucker named Stephen Harper in office. But we have an election coming up soon, and we really need to get rid of that guy. Because he really is a threat to this nation's greatness and everything that makes Canada such a wonderful place. And I think what I'm most grateful for being a Canadian is the Canadian arts and culture scene. We spoke about this a little bit before in our episode about Canadian show business. But without talking about the business side of things, just talking about the art. And there are so many amazing artists in this country, past and present. I mean, especially writers. We have so many great writers here, like Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood is just a cut above the rest. She's probably the greatest Canadian ever, if we're being honest. If you have not read her book, Oryx and Crake, and its follow-up, Year of the Flood, and there's also a third installment in the trilogy, which I've not read yet, called Mad Adam, but fantastic dystopian novel that is so important to read. I really could not recommend that book more highly. If you read one great Canadian novel in your life, make it Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. Please, please do yourself a favor and do that. So many great talent in this country. I mean, Joni Mitchell, Alanis Morissette, Anne Murray. Shout out to Anne Murray. Rita McNeil, rest in peace. We don't need to talk about Celine and Shania. Let's not go there. Jan Arden either. Not really worth mentioning. I think people outside of Canada know us most for a lot of our artists. They know us for Degrassi, both the original and the Next Generation. I mean, I could never watch the Next Generation Degrassi. I'm all about the original. One of our greatest TV shows also, Are You Afraid of the Dark? A lot of children grew up watching that. Children of the 90s. I think a lot of US channels aired that show, so that was, I mean, that show was amazing. It was this weekly show, scary horror kind of show, but it was actually really well done for a Canadian show. We are notoriously known for our low-budget television productions, but Are You Afraid of the Dark was the fucking shit. That show terrified me every fucking week. I used to have nightmares. My childhood was haunted by that show. But a true great Canadian classic, I believe. I mean, who else do we need to shout out to? Kim Cattrall, Canadian. Who doesn't love Kim Cattrall? Samantha Jones, and I mean, I think even more importantly, from Mannequin. greatest 80s movie. Andrea Martin, legend. Do yourself a favor and watch some vintage Andrea Martin. Read her memoir, Lady Parts. Such a great book also. Just, you know, we are so lucky and so enriched by all of the artists that create here. And of course, a lot of artists, Canadian artists, move to the US, you know, to take things to the next level for themselves. It would be so great if Canadian artists didn't have to leave here to build something bigger. Unfortunately, it is the case for most Canadian artists, but I think that, you know, if we stay here and we build something together, we can take things to the next level. We don't need to move to New York, although who doesn't want to live in New York? Myself included. I live in Montreal. A lot of you know that already. Montreal is such a great city. If you're going to come to one Canadian city, just come to Montreal. I mean, Canada is such a friendly country. That's not a myth. Montreal can be a little bit aggressive, and it might not be as friendly as some of the other big Canadian cities like Toronto. But Montreal has its own kind of warmth. It has so much character. It's so sexy here. You know, Canada is so well known for its good-looking people. Especially its good-looking, well-hung men. Especially the men from British Columbia. I don't know, the trees there are really big and the men there are really big. Maybe there's some kind of correlation. Someone will have to investigate. But so many great Canadian men. Gotta love Canadian bacon, maple syrup. I mean, these are not cliches. These things are actually the shit. And we're so lucky to have them in abundance in this country. So, I don't know what more to say. I'm happy to be Canadian. I love being Canadian. I love living in this country. I encourage you all to come visit us. I encourage you all to take a moment and listen to a Joni Mitchell album. Throw on some Alanis Morissette, dig out that copy of Jagged Little Pill, and just go wild. So happy belated Canada Day to all of you, and from one happy Canadian to another, I wish you all a great day, and I will see you very soon. Bye.